This is it. Here we go. Oh, Jeremy.
That's not even the right music. That's the outro.
I know. That's the only music that I have right now. Remember? This is like the past 2 shows we've done has been with this music.
I know, but what happened to it?
I don't know.
Well,
I can't find it anymore.
There's no sense in finding it now.
No, the stench of formaldehyde is is clogging my brain from the death of this show. Hi, Jeremy. Welcome back for the first time, for the last time.
Well, is this show over? Are you gonna? You're not gonna. You haven't auditioned my replacement yet.
It's just gonna be me with a sock. I don't want Taryn to do it. We already work together too much. It's fine. You know, I don't know. I've thought about it a little bit. I'll probably do one more by myself, but then I might just kill it because I have a couple ideas for another show that I would rather do. But then again, I don't know. Like, there's so much news in the Disney world that I can't cover on the main show, and it is kind of fun to do. So we'll see. I don't know.
Did any? I'm just curious. I can't even imagine anyone would. But did any listener reach out and be like, "I'd love to go on"?
No.
Okay.
I can't imagine anybody would either. That would be cool.
I don't know. I thought that'd be interesting. I thought maybe someone would be like, "Hey, I'd like to throw my hat in the ring."
Hey, if anybody wants to and has the chops to fill Jeremy's chops or something, you know, I mean, look, maybe I'm always into it. Whatever.
Maybe I'll be part of the auditions. Like, I will.
Oh yeah.
You know, I'll take part in my naming my successor.
That'd be great. That'd be great. Well, see, here's the thing. We set this up for the perfect Disney related sort of exit where you leave, you name your successor, you leave, and they are not well received by the common man, the commoner. Then Taryn comes in, gets them kicked off the show, and brings you back in.
Yeah.
There we go. That's it. That's our circle.
And then it gets even worse.
Yeah, that's right. That would be amazing. That would be absolutely amazing.
Brian Sorrow in the chat says I'm irreplaceable.
That's nice. True. Jeremy is irreplaceable, but you know, still replaceable at the same time. Apparently, I don't know. By me, that's right. The only man who can step in to fill Jeremy's shoes is me.
Right,
is myself.
The hubris is just.
But yeah, I had a bunch of good ideas for you, and I had no time to do any of them. So I do apologize. You are going out on a wet fart, but actually, you, apropos of nothing, I suppose, you are going to be presenting us with a gift, not the other way around.
I do have a farewell thing to do.
Hakuna Matata. Yeah.
It has, I mean, rhyming has become sort of my thing. So why not go out with a little bit of a rhyme?
At work, do you write your emails in rhyme as well?
Yes. It's the only way I speak.
Yes, I would like 2 containers of these. Please also go into your day with ease. Something like that. Just,
just off the top of your head.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, man. Well, look, this is Jeremy's last show. In case anybody has missed it, Jeremy has decided to retire. He's going to go work for Inside the Magic. And, far better pay, probably. But, you can't beat the companionship. So there you go. Yeah. Jeremy's off to greener pastures, mainly just getting beaten down at work. So, basically, you're traveling like the whole next month.
I'm traveling the whole next month, but in my sonnet at the end of the show, I sort of go into why I have to just get rid of this albatross. No, why I need to move on.
At the end of the show, this is all we're going to hear.
Basically, that clip right there is why I have to go. It sums up everything Disney has done.
It really does. Honestly.
Terrible. It's just terrible marketing, papering over terrible attractions.
I tell you, I did a TikTok today. I was really proud of it.
Oh my word! It's
basically just like pooping on Dole Whips, because that's my position. Dole Whips are just inherently terrible.
Okay.
And And I knew it was going to stir up some controversy, and it did. People got very mad at me in the comments, and it was very funny because I knew it was going to happen. I did it on purpose.
Right.
That's the only way you can. Yes, that's right. I'm the stick off the tree that pokes the turd down the hole. You know what I mean?
Yes, I've always thought that.
And it's fun. It felt good. Felt funny.
What sort of things are people saying?
You know what? That's a good question.
Rest in hell, you swine of.
They were doxing me. It was a whole thing. Let me pull it up. Overall, look, Disney fans, Disney people, for the most part, on the whole, are generally going to be pretty nice about stuff, even when they disagree with the things that you're doing or things that you're saying. No one's ever going to be like, I hope that you get run over by 1,000 babies in strollers or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But someone said, let's see, here's the problem with this. It's just hard. Someone says, can we agree that a Disneyland pickle is unbeatable? And I said, I've never honestly had one, whatever. Someone said,
no.
Yeah. Dole Whip is better than ice cream. You're insane.
Yeah.
And
I agree with that person.
Yeah. Well, and I said, I've been compared a lot to the Joker before. So you're not telling me anything new with a fingernail polish emoji. And he says, weird flex. And I said, aren't they all though? It's just sort of like stuff like that,
Wait, is this person really serious and like getting mad at your flex?
I don't know, man. Oh, someone said facts. Yeah. And then someone else said, yo, mama, how dare you insult a true classic? And I said, classic just means it's old and past its prime.
So you're really going, the thing is, you're really going in, like you're defending it. And you're not, but like a lot of people will just not respond.
Yeah. Well, those people don't know how the algorithm works. The more people that comment on your thing, especially with TikTok, I think, the more it like gets upped in the feed. Yeah. So
you want a dead thing.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Well, then I will continue to not comment on your I don't have to actually. I don't have TikTok, so I don't.
Yeah.
It wasn't in any of my feed today, but did you post it to others? Is it on Insta?
Oh yeah, of course.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe I'll see it tonight when I do my free sleep death scroll.
Yeah, it's on YouTube Shorts. It's
Oh my God, it's everywhere.
Look, man,
you're going viral.
I'm going to take the, I don't know, 3.5 minutes to make this thing. I'm going to put it everywhere. It took me longer to repost it than it did actually make, but whatever. I don't know. Having fun,
it promises to be great content. Then.
Look, I'm just a 46-year-old man having fun online. That's all I'm doing. But we're not here about me, Jeremy, unfortunately. We hear about you, and we hear about news.
Yeah.
You want to go first? You want to take it away?
I'll go.
Lead the second line down the street for your funeral? All right, go ahead.
A universal rating this film's no longer got because they use the word Hottentot. Have you heard about this?
No, I don't even know what that means.
Oh, well, then that's sort of part of this whole thing. But anyway, the British film industry, or the British Board of Film Classification, which regulates films and video content in the United Kingdom, has updated its rating for Walt Disney's 1964 movie, Mary Poppins.
Okay.
From a rating of Universal, which is R-rated G, to one of PG, or parental guidance, because it features a word that used to be used by Europeans to describe native people found in southern Africa. The word Hottentot is used in the film by the aging sea captain, neighbor of the Bankses, Admiral Boom.
Okay.
Do you remember? This?
Yeah. I mean, I know I'm familiar with the character, but I couldn't tell you the words that he says or anything. Yeah.
So when Admiral Boom sees the hordes of chimney sweeps dancing on the neighboring rooftops, sort of like in the climax of the film when they do Step in Time, and he sees them all dancing, well, he freaks out and he exclaims that they must be being attacked by Hottentots.
Okay.
He's like, oh, we're being attacked by Hottentots. And then he loads the cannons with the fireworks and shoots them at the chimney sweeps, and they all go diving down into the chimneys. Hottentots is a word used to describe the Khoi Khoi which is a group of people. And this was used as far back as the 17th century. Um, and it only recently really fell out of favor. The term Hottentot remained in use as a technical ethnic term in anthropological and historiographical literature until the 1980s. In 1996, the Dictionary of South African English merely states that the word Hottentot is seen as offensive by some. But at this point, it was beginning to be seen as too derogatory and offensive to be used in an ethnic sense. And so it has since fallen out of favor in favor of the more accurate term to describe this group, which is the Khoi Khoi. At the same time, Hottentot over the years was a term used to describe not just specific people in Africa, but it took on a more general negative meaning as opposed to being like for a specific ethnicity, like it became like barbarian or cannibal. Okay. So the fact that it was originally attributed to this group, but also had a negative connotation, it's sort of not so great that it's used. So the film uses two instances of Hottentots, according to this BBFC spokesperson. The other time is, I don't really remember this, but I remembered the first one that I just described to you when he says we're being attacked. But there was apparently there's another point in the story where Admiral Boom yells down to Michael and says, "Are you off chasing Hottentots today?" or something. But I don't really remember that line, and I've seen this movie a lot. Yeah. Anyhow. The iconic movie will be returning to theaters this year because it's the 60th anniversary of Mary Poppins. It came out in 1964. And that's sort of what prompted this to be brought up. And, you know, they're sort of saying like, sort of just needs a bit of a warning because of context. Like, okay, we don't want kids learning this word that is not derogatory. Like, you don't want kids running around saying it. No. Because they learned at Mary Poppins, they probably would be saying it and they don't even know what it means, but surely people don't want to be hearing it. I don't hear that word often. You don't hear it, and like cars don't wind down their windows and start yelling, "Hey, Hottentot" out the window.
That's right. But that's right. Hot toddy is about as close as I've ever heard. Yeah.
This isn't the first time that Mary Poppins has brushed with alleged racism. A few years ago, you might remember this. People started questioning whether or not Mary Poppins was partaking in blackface.
Oh, do you remember this? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I thought it was ridiculous.
Well, it is, of course, because leading up to this scene, she powders her face with dark powder because she wants to match the soot that's on the chimney sweeps.
Right. And the joke is she's powdering it like makeup because she's doing it very prim and properly and not haphazard.
Right.
Right.
She was making her face look dirty.
Right. But in a neat and controlled way.
I actually think that there's a racism in the accusation because dirty doesn't equal black people. So if you're seeing her make her face dirty and you think that that's being blackface, what's your problem?
Right.
You think that that's dirty. It's not.
You're looking for it. You're looking for it. Yeah.
Yes.
I can see that.
Also, she was imitating chimney sweeps, which I think in late Edwardian Britain were mostly white people. I don't think there were a ton of black chimney sweeps. I'm sure that there's an exception to that, but in 1910 England, I have a feeling that that was primarily a white Cockney job.
Yeah.
So that's basically it. I think, I do think these things need to be sort of contextualized. It is a 60-year-old movie. We've evolved. I'm happy that they're not going back and editing the film. I don't think that that's right because I don't think you should change art. But if we need to give a little bit more context around that and say, okay, this was okay then, because I think what the UK, the British Film Council is saying is like in the movie he's not corrected. And so therefore we have to provide that context because in the movie someone doesn't come along and say, "Hey, Admiral Boom, don't call them that."
Can you imagine what a drag on the story that would be to be like just correct every behavior, every nonsensical behavior in any movie? Just like you put the brakes on the scene. Excuse me, that is very inappropriate thing to say or whatever.
Yeah.
That's interesting because what's the context? I mean, are they putting like a card before the movie to explain the word, or just upping it from a G to a PG isn't gonna because I mean, I saw the movie when I was a kid. I don't even remember hearing the word. I can't imagine that any child is going to pick up on that and go like, and start saying it to other people who actually know what that means. Seems like a weird. Seems weird. It's good if it protects people and it makes people feel better. Cool.
Yeah.
It seems like it's not performative, but it seems like unless there's a card in front of the movie explaining the word and saying how it's like this is a slur and this is the hit, whatever. If there's a education behind it, then yeah, don't edit it. But it doesn't upping to a PG rating doesn't seem like enough. Doesn't seem like it providing context. It just limiting people. Right. I don't know.
Well, that's true, and actually, the guidelines in the UK, a PG film, a child doesn't need a guardianship, doesn't need parental, doesn't need to be with a parent to see the film. They can still see it on their own. It's just an advisory. Yeah. I don't think that they are putting context in front of it, though Disney has done that. Disney did that with Dumbo, I think. I think they've edited some of those movies and added in some things to say, like, give the historical context around derogatory use of certain words.
Yeah, so, and I think with Admiral Boom, if I remember correctly, he was sort of senile anyways. And so he was being he was sort of inappropriate to begin with. And so it is sort of like, oh, here's our racist uncle is back for Thanksgiving, everybody. That's really fun.
Well,
great. Like no one's going, yeah, they are the things. I don't know.
Yeah, like in the movie, no one looks to Admiral Boom as some sort of legitimate cultural authoritative figure. Like first of all, he's built a boat on the top of his roof because he's out of his mind. I mean, they're sort of making a joke about dementia. I mean, yes. And if you think about the timing, okay, so he sees a group of people sort of what he perceives to be like or attacking. Right? It's late 1910. It's late Edwardian England. He's a retired admiral. He probably fought in the Boer Wars. And that's why he sees that the Boer Wars was the South African Wars, where that was like a thing. So he's like screwing up time, and he's got a boat on the roof of his house. He's shooting a cannon off over the city of London. This guy's not got it together. He's got some issues.
I like how he's allowed to do that too. Just shooting a cannon off.
No one says anything.
No one says anything at all. Like he needed help to get that cannon up to the roof, right? He didn't do it on his own.
Well, he's got that assistant. I don't know what that guy's name is. I can't remember. He's got that little weird assistant. I really love the movie. But yeah, it is it's sort of a weird thing, but that what they say is the world takes its time from Greenwich, and Greenwich takes its time from Admiral Boom, and that's why he has to light off the cannon every day to keep Greenwich on its time.
All right, the Greenwich who stole.
It's kind of funny.
Yeah, it is, I guess.
So
I don't know. Dan's in the chat and he asked a question: are they being too restrictive or not restrictive enough? I don't know.
I don't think I have an opinion.
Yeah. I don't think they're being restrictive at all. But I guess my point is changing it from G to PG it's not going to do anything. And then saying it's because of this word that is now considered a slur, it's not achieving the desired effect. It's not going to stop kids from seeing it or better yet, it's not going to educate anybody unless they put a warning ahead of time explaining what it is.
Which maybe they do. Maybe they give a reason why something's rated a certain thing. I haven't seen a movie in the UK since Downton Abbey, and I don't really remember what the pre-roll was like to it.
No, man. Please go over there and see it next. Whenever
it's not the only movie where you can hear that term. The Wizard of Oz used the word Hottentots also.
Ooh, problematic film history coming at you.
So I wonder if that'll be next. Another favorite movie of mine, the Lion King. The Cowardly Lion says, "What makes the Hottentot so hot? What puts the ape and apricot? Courage." When they're in the Emerald City and they're waiting to get let in by the wizard, he says that's the first thing. The line he says, "What puts the Hottentot?"
Interesting.
So.
Yeah, see, as a kid, all that stuff just goes over my head. I'm like, I don't
Yeah,
know.
you're
That's
like,
some
oh,
weird
no
reference.
one.
Like, I don't really
Yeah, I
care.
saw it and I was like, I don't know what the hell is that. Yeah.
But then again, I saw Blazing Saddles as a kid and I had no idea what was going on. So like, maybe I was a dumb kid. I have no idea.
No, I think you were just a normal kid and you're like, what is that? But there are
Yeah.
also like, I'm a kind of kid who like, I didn't ask a ton of questions. Like I just accepted everything. And
I don't
then
think most
like my
kids
nieces
do
will
like
ask every single thing. Like, why are you doing that? What's that? What's that? And you're like, oh my God, I don't know. I don't think I asked any questions when
Well,
I was a
I
kid.
think with like words in a song or like really quick one-off kind of things, I don't think kids are sharp enough because it's moving on to the next thing. But if it's a visual, I think that they would ask about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't
because
know.
like when you're a kid, you hear millions of words all day that you don't know what they are, and you just sort of start to tune things out.
Yeah, you're like, whatever. Like the show. Like, what? I don't know what's going on.
Right. So that's what's happening with Mary Poppins.
All right. Well,
Getting a
very
little
good,
extra context, I suppose.
Yeah. And, hey, context is always going to be good. Let's go from that to something extraordinarily boring. What do you think?
Oh, I can't wait.
This is from the Walt Disney Company itself. The title is Disney Board of Directors sends letter to shareholders highlighting clear progress made and promises kept as it executes strategic transformation. That is the title of this assertion. Just okay. Promises kept. Like that is such a politically charged statement, but also just like a dumb, I don't know. See, we did it, guys. We told you we would, and we did. And the fact that you have to highlight that there were promises kept seems weird. I don't know.
It is political. I feel like that's sort of what the current administration is using that phrase. So like when I first read that, I thought, oh, I feel like we're hearing that in the news quite a bit right now.
I remember the former doing it.
Oh, okay.
That's when I remember. But I mean, I'm sure I'm sure other political parties have used it, over years and years and years. It's not a new thing. But it's interesting. I haven't actually heard it this year. Board and management continue to deliver on strategic priorities outlined last year. Encourages shareholders to vote the white proxy card for only Disney's 12 nominees and to visit votedisney.com for more information. That's right. If you are a Disney shareholder, you can vote right now up until, I think, next month a little bit, or maybe April. I can't remember.
Are you a Disney shareholder?
I am.
And
I voted. Oh yeah, and I made a TikTok about it because I voted against every single Disney thing, because they'll tell you on the thing if the board is for or against the vote or whatever. So it's like this person who's already in the vote, they're for. Disney is for the weirdest stuff. They are for not disclosing their political donations. So I vote against that every year. Because I want to know where my money is going if I actually went to the parks. The other one they don't want to disclose is their charitable donations. I would like to know. Maybe I'm nosy. I don't know. Maybe also I'm a bit of the Joker, and I just want to cause chaos. No, but everything that they want, I vote against, and then everything they are against, I vote for. And I just think it's very fun. One of those is Nelson Peltz, and the other dude that he has coming up.
And then what about the three others? Because there's this other, is it Blackwell? They're also fielding 3 candidates. And where do they fit in? They're the ones who want like Mickey Mouse to be AI, I read.
Really? This I don't know.
Let's come up this week.
They want Mickey to be come on.
Or one of that. I'm not saying that they want to be AI, but they're saying that Disney or the Walt Disney Company needs to use AI more in its character generation.
That is insane. And I know. That is nuts. Those are people who they hear AI and they go, oh, it's easy. It's faster. Oh, okay. Let's do that. There's actually a lot of work that goes into AI, but also it's strip mined from other people's thing. The best use for AI I found is memes. Like I saw one where someone put Michael Jackson, but as a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. And it was very funny. It was very well done. That was great.
Great.
There you go. That's it. It shouldn't be anything for more than just like cultural BS online. That's it.
Right. That's what this is for.
Yeah. This came out yesterday. The Walt Disney Company Board of Directors today sent a letter to shareholders, which I didn't get, detailing the progress it has made and continues to make on its strategic priorities, delivering on the promises it made just over 1 year ago. The board has been laser focused on a strategy that will drive shareholder value. I mean, to be fair, the stocks are like at 110 right now, which is pretty good.
Yeah, but the whole market is insane right now.
Yeah, well, probably. The company has restored its cash dividend and subsequently increased the dividend payment declared for July by 50%. Disney is also targeting $3 billion in shared buybacks. Now, isn't that just when the company buys its own stock?
Yes.
And isn't that like necessarily not the best thing? Wouldn't we learn in trickle down economics where if the big corporations made more, they're going to pay people more? But what we've been seeing in the last 10 years is that's not the case at all. They just buy their stock back to protect it and then don't spend that money in like, paying people what they're worth or.
Yeah. I mean, it's still, if you're underpaying people, like, I don't think it's necessarily, it's like, it needs context. I think there are corporations that buy their stock back and it helps their stock and it like keeps it's good, especially if a lot of companies have their people's retirements in their stock or part of their employees' compensation is stock.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's perfectly fine for that. But you have a company like Disney where, and as Peltz has pointed out, has underperformed and their senior executives have been overcompensated relative to that performance on a scale of 10 years. Yeah, maybe it isn't the best thing for them to be doing. So I just think like it depends on what kind of company you're running and who's getting compensated and how well.
This is, I mean, Iger for sure. This is interesting. The company has also made great strides in reining in costs. Like they were so out of control. All these people who had jobs, they were just all that's out of control. Come on, we don't need that many jobs, right? And is on track to meet or exceed its cost-cutting target of $7.5 billion by the end of fiscal year 24. Disney also reaffirmed it's on track to deliver $8 billion in free cash flow. That's insane. And to reach profitability in its combined direct-to-consumer streaming businesses in Q4. Disney's creative engines continue to be recognized with numerous nominations across the TV and film industry. I don't know if you knew that, but their creative engines are recognized.
I know.
That means nominations.
Zero.
Not awards, but nominations.
Yeah, like, you know what? I'm nominating this for best podcast.
Yes. Award
Put
nominated.
That in your shareholder.
Of course, the board of directors urges all shareholders to protect their investment and the future of the company by voting the white proxy card for only Disney's 12 nominees now, and not the Trian Group or Blackwell's nominees. Another thing I always vote against is the approval of Bob Iger's compensation package, because that's always very funny to me to vote against that. Yeah. Anyway, there you go. That's what it is. So they initiated a $60 billion 10-year program to invest in and expand the parks and the cruise lines. Recognized Disney to put more decision-making and authority within the creative teams. These are all their promises made and promises kept. Since November 22, your board and management team announced a stock buyback, why am I caring about the stock? I mean, I guess you just said stock buyback, but improved entertainment streaming operation income in Q1 by 86% year over year. Well, yeah, because you fired a bunch of people. Anyway, and they stopped producing so much content. Of course, that's going to happen.
Yeah, but they needed to. I mean, they shoved way too much money at Disney Plus, and then they were trying to crank out content. It all sucked. And like, of course, like those people, sorry, you can't stay employed. We put way too, it's not like they're firing people who are swiping tickets in the park.
Not anymore.
It's like you opened up this huge division and hemorrhaged money at it. Like that wasn't sustainable.
Yeah.
Sorry. And like, if that's where you work, I feel bad for you, but you work in a really volatile industry.
True. That's true. Thomas is in the chat and he wants to buy Disney stock or Disney or Pixar adjacent. And he says, do you think it's worth it? And if so, which one? Here's my thing on Disney stock. I had 10 shares. I sold half of them to buy some other bank stock or whatever. Not like I know anything about anything, but I'm holding on to half of my shares because, once I think Disney Fortnite starts happening, I think that's gonna be a good propellant for the Disney stock. But at 110, I don't know if that's worth buying. I don't know how high it'll get. But I think you're probably better off doing something different. Unless you have the free money that you want to just invest in something that you like, then yeah, go for it, man. Who cares?
Yeah, I think we are probably not the best place to get financial planning
we
advice
are. Jeremy, with that kind of attitude, of course no one's going to believe us. You know what I mean?
I can't be held responsible for the financial advice dispensed on this hour of programming. Okay?
I can. Look, Jeremy is giving you a personal guarantee, Thomas, that if you buy stock in Disney and it tanks, Jeremy will reimburse you.
I do think. I mean, Disney does seem to have it seems to have staying power. It's been around since 1923.
Yeah.
So it seems like a pretty good investment. I don't know. I mean, it depends on if you're in it for the long term or the short term. If you're in it for the short term, it's probably not a very good investment, especially if you bought 3 years ago. But in the long run, it does seem to be like most stocks that haven't gone out of business. It seems to be a good long term investment.
Yeah, and there, I say that about the Fortnite thing because that's what spiked it up to like 110, 111 bucks, and it's sort of hovered there. So I feel like that's the new like plateau. And once that moves forward, because Fortnite is a $1 billion industry, that is going to be that's going to be nuts when that actually happens. So,
did you see the quote though from Iger when he was on? I think he was on CNBC. And they're asking him about this, and he couldn't give a timeline, and then he said, I'm paraphrasing now, but he was like, yeah, like it's not going to happen anytime soon. Like, I mean, it won't be years, but it'll probably be a few years. I don't know. Like that was his timeline. It won't be years, but it will be a few years. What does that mean? Okay, thank you.
I love it. I love it.
I don't know. I think he's doing too much media. He doesn't seem to be disciplined enough to give interviews.
Yeah, I agree. Let's take a quick break, Jeremy. Great. Okay, we're going to come back. We're going to do a little more news.
Okay,
right here on Jeremy's last show on In Depth, probably ever, but not on the network. Maybe, if he's lucky.
Let's see how the second half goes.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Little apropos music for Jeremy.
Little haunted mansion-y.
Well, they do play the funeral dirge.
Dirge.
apparently, this is Chopin. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
Funeral march, yeah.
Look at Chopin. He's doing great.
He's just chopping it up
for him.
Man. Yeah.
Oh, you make Melinda laugh too, according to the chat. She just said she's throwing you a compliment.
See? Well, that's why she's
getting fans.
It's about time. I mean, good Lord. I know I'm not funny or witty or handsome or clever, but I make an effort.
So we started the show at the beginning of 2019. I know I had talked about it, but I went back and because I keep every write-up and I'm like, oh, how old is the first one?
Yeah. 2019. All right. Wow.
Still a little while ago.
Yeah. You're pretty good, man. 5 years of news and annoying people.
I hope I was successful.
What do you got? Give me a story.
If you want to hear Donald Duck quack, you'll have to fork over some more Jack.
Jack? I haven't heard that term for money.
Well, it works for me. You knew what I meant. Today, Walt Disney World began selling tickets for 2025. And guess what? Prices are going up.
Oh, weird. Well, yeah, they're going to have $8 billion in free cash flow. Of course, the prices are going to go up.
Yeah, sure. They're charging. Have you seen? Let's just pause for 1 second.
Let's do that.
Did you pay attention to social media this weekend where people were showing these the lightning lane lines?
No.
So they're showing a standby wait of 120. This is I saw this in multiple attractions, but here's one: Radiator Springs over at California Adventure. 120-minute standby wait, And then next to it, the lightning lane was all the way back to like where World of Color is. Like out wherever cars land. Up and around and
through
like
the food court, dude.
Yeah. Lightning lane, what they're charging people for. And then the same thing came out of Hollywood Studios this weekend, where it was Tower of Terror, where you had this really long standby wait, and then people are just going through. Oh, and it was Peter Pan also in Magic Kingdom. They were posting a video. It's all the way past Small World down by PhilharMagic. And there's a person just walking along, and it's just people standing there like this, and they're in the lightning lane.
They paid for the honor to be there.
I would be ripping life apart. You don't even understand what would be going on.
So help me figure out the lightning lane. Like it has having never used it. Does it give you a time to come back?
I don't know. Yes, okay. I think it does. I think it gives you time.
Someone in the chat, let me know. Confirm that.
Because I'm pretty sure that it does.
I don't know what I would do if my lightning lane was like Indiana Jones at, friggin' 2:00. It's like 1:35 and I go and I see this line. I wouldn't wait in it. I wouldn't wait in that line. There is, and I've said this from the beginning of the shows. This opinion has not changed. There is nothing worth waiting over 2 hours in line for. Nothing. There is rarely anything worth waiting over an hour for. And I'm talking outside of the Disney parks, inside the Disney parks, anything.
Right.
It is 2024. We have the technology. We can space people out. There's other stuff to do. Whatever you're trying to wait for won't be in demand eventually. Just wait for it. Just go do something else with your life.
Go do something else. Don't waste time. Here's 2 hours. You're not getting back. You're 2 hours closer to, you know what? Your coffin.
Yeah. Well, especially for like a 2-minute ride.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, there you go. That was 2 hours to get a thrill up my leg. Yes. Yeah. Dan says it gives you a time to come back. All right.
But it's not just that you chose to wait in this line. You paid to wait in a fast line, and that's the line they're giving you. That's fraud. It's certainly services not rendered for payment. Like, you're not giving me what I mean, there's probably fine print.
Promises delivered.
Promises. I just want to make it clear that the lightning lane line was not 2 hours. The 120-minute wait was the standby line. What I was saying is that next to it was, however, a very, very, very long lightning lane line. Now, presumably that line moves much faster than the standby line, but it can't move. You are still out back by World of Color. You're going to walk. Like, there's still time. So it's really a problem.
It is. Well, and the Fast Pass line did that too, especially with Radiator Springs. I mean, that's a problematic ride to begin with, because it has consistently long lines, and Fast Pass line was always pretty long anyways. But the fact that now you walk down and you go, every person you count is $30.
Mm-hmm.
That fundamentally knots my stomach up. As a consumer, as a lover of the brand, it's like, that's just not right. There's got to be something we can do. What are we paying this money for? And I say the royal we, because I'm not doing it. What are we paying this money for if it's not fixing the fundamental problem of too many people? The lines being too long. And what can you do? I don't know. If people are willing to pay it, then they're just going to keep accepting their money. So they're not going to be able to do anything about it. So what are you going to do? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm not paying it. I'm not even going. I'm going. I have a work trip next week. I'm going to London, and I was like, I'll add Paris on at the end. And I was like, I haven't been to Disneyland Paris. Let me go there. Yeah. I'm typing it up. I'm pricing it out. And I was like, nope, I'm going to stay in Paris and see real art and hear real music and eat real food. And then I'm going home. I'm not going to do this. I'm not giving this company any more. It's enough already. I'm not going to stay in their fake, phony nonsense place. It's done.
Yeah. Yes, I agree.
So
I got friends.
Anyway, let me get back to my story.
I got people I know have a brewery in Paris. I'll give you the name. You can go there.
Oh, yeah, give it to me. I would love to. Right. I'll go.
What it's called.
Let's go back to my story where I rhymed quack and jack. How about that?
Outland.
Outland?
Outland. Yeah.
Hold on. Text it to me.
Okay.
I can't find a piece of paper.
All right, that's fine.
Because of Disney's dynamic pricing, which changes, it's kind of hard to measure the exact figures about how much the pricing has gone up, but we'll give you some examples. Some single day park ticket prices have gone up $10 a day in this new pricing structure that goes into effect January 1st, 2025. Here's an example. In late August, Disney's Animal Kingdom single park one-day tickets have risen from $109 to $119. On a Saturday in late April, Animal Kingdom's pricing is $169 in 2025, up $5 from $164 this year. And on that same weekend, Magic Kingdom's ticket also rises by $5 to $189 for a one-day, one park. And that doesn't include your Genie Plus, which you have to wake up at 6 a.m. for, which gets you a long line.
Maybe this is me just being a bad businessman. And I do sort of like come to terms with this a little bit. If people are willing to pay for this and they have the free cash and they're willing to do it, that's fine. Good for them, you know. Why shouldn't the parks charge it? But I wonder what that ceiling is. I mean, I would have thought by now, for sure, people would stop going to the parks nearly as much, and it would sort of decompress the parks a bit. But the opposite seems to happen, where the more you charge, the more people are going. You should look at the lines and the crowds. That's what I'm hearing a lot since the parks sort of opened, and the restrictions have come off the parks from lockdown. Mm-hmm. That it just seems like it's more packed than ever, and the prices are higher than ever.
So there's the one argument that's being made is that Lightning Lane, because it's gumming up the works, is increasing standby waits and making it look. Now, that standby wait that was 120 minutes, you couldn't see any people. Normally, 120-minute standby wait, you'd see the people bleeding out of the end of that line. You couldn't see them. It's because they're standing in there and they're only letting through one for every 15 Lightning Lane people. So it's a 120-minute wait, but there's not that many people in it. And so what's happening is you have these really long waits and everything's getting exacerbated, but the walkways in the parks aren't feeling as full. So you go and the lines look long and the waits are long. And actually, the waits, if you look at some of these line tracking websites, they're at or just below 2019 levels. But that's not what we're seeing anecdotally, because Lightning Lane is making it look like the parks are more crowded. And also, Disney is incentivized to inflate, and they've been accused of this, and there have been examples that people have published where the standby posted waits aren't actualizing at. So maybe it says 120, but it's actually 90. And so you have Disney's incentivized to make the standby wait look longer, to force people to feel like they have to spend that extra money. And then that makes the standby wait even longer, and it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. But there are people who work at Disney who are coming out and saying hotels are at a very low capacity. They've been offering excessive discounts on hotels. They've been adding in free days and good to go days for annual pass holders. So I think I think that there is some, look, demand is still good for parks, but I think that it's not what it was. It's not what it should be. And I think that this whole Lightning Lane Genie Plus thing is definitely inflating what we're seeing.
Interesting. Okay. Chat seems to agree with you as well. Yeah, I guess I just think back to your example of, I mean, in my head in Cars Land, where you see a line going past, like basically past flows down the thing, through the overpass or whatever, by the bathrooms there, and you have the Carl Strauss beer truck that used to be there. I guess it's not there anymore, and through the food cart. Like that is, I don't know. I would see that and I would just get out of that whole area in general. I would just flee. That's too many people. So I don't know. They're backing up the line. So, but then I wonder if the Lightning Lane is moving faster than the standby line because the people paid for it. So the line stacks up, but it's not that bad.
Right.
But even though that's bad, I don't care. I don't care if it's a 10-minute wait. You have to wait all the way down there and you go, I don't know, man. It's too much.
Here's the other thing that I wanted to add in, because this is part of the story, is that this is about a price increase. This price increase doesn't start until 2025. The last Disney World price increase was in 2022.
Ooh, okay. That's good news.
It's good news, but we were used to, there were times you can remember pre-pandemic, we would get 2 price increases a year.
It's true. That's true.
And that's the other thing about this is that I'm not saying, and I don't, so that I think is telling in itself that they have not felt compelled to raise ticket prices. And by the way, $5 or $10 is not huge. Like, they're raising these tickets $5. I found a couple that are 10, but $5. Okay. And that's the most in 2022. This is going to be the first time in history with the price, or at least since Eisner, where the price of a Disney ticket has been below inflation. Or the increases have been below inflation, because it's been 0.
Yeah.
And so it is kind of interesting. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Sorry.
It's interesting that they're publishing this. So it used to be that they would announce a price ticket increase and the next day it was effective. We're finding out about this when they're opening up strategy sales.
That is weird. Like, to say in a year from now it's going to be. I wonder if it's maybe like you're saying, and like Chasing Bama in the chat is saying, like the current capacity is still well below what the parks were in 2019. And I wonder if that is sort of like like a call to action where, hey, next year these prices are going to go up. So if you're going to come now.
I think that's definitely something.
Wild.
Park hopper tickets are also going up. We were talking about everything I was talking about was single day, but park hopper tickets are also going up on average $5 to $10. What else? I sort of just went off track of my notes. So
sorry, man.
Oh, along with this, another new perk.
Ooh, how many magnets are we getting this year?
No, they're not magnets.
Damn.
So you'll be very happy. All guests on property, if you're staying in a Disney Resort hotel, you will get free admission to a water park on the day of your check-in.
Huh.
Just that day.
I don't hate that idea. I don't hate that.
It's a freebie. I can't get too mad. It's a freebie.
Yeah, but I mean, considering, well, I think it's a freebie that they know not everybody's going to use, obviously, because not everybody's going to want to go to a water park. But I mean, when does the average person check in? 3 to 6 o'clock at night? Who's going to go to a water park at night?
Well, the water parks close at 5.
Okay, well, see there you go.
So that is so already it's not a huge give on their part. The other thing is there is a benefit to this, and that is that if you are coming in and their rooms aren't ready, it's something for you to do, which buys the resorts more time to get the resorts flipped. So this diverts people. Instead of having them come up and yell at you at the front desk. Go use the theme park and you'll probably buy some sodas while you're there and make some money.
Chasing Bama says they failed to mention that only one water park is open at a time. So now the water park will be miserable to visit.
This is true. That's right. They never have them both open at the same time.
It's hilarious, man. I love that.
So it's always there's always a gotcha.
Yeah, and I mean, that is, I like the idea of the perk, especially for people like me who, when we would go, I would want to get there at check-in so I could have that time to go into the park or whatever. But if you don't want to burn a day at the parks, well, you get a free water park day. Okay, you maybe there a couple hours. It's something free to do, and you can sort of like enjoy and relax and whatever. So that is cool. I'm interested to see how that affects the water park, attendance and if how many people. That's the thing. I would love to know the internals on this. What are the numbers? How many people are at the park? Are they trying to increase the parks, the water park attendance, or are they just trying to get people to stay on the campus? Because I know the hotels there are really expensive now too. So maybe people are staying more off campus, and so I want to know the facts that go into that decision. You know what I mean? What are they trying to drive? Attendance in the park, attendance at the hotels. Maybe a little
It
bit
could
of
be one of
both.
those things where it's like keep them here, don't let them wander. Epic Universe is opening in 2025.
Yeah.
Don't go over there and spend any time. Just come here and go to
Don't
our
ever go
favorite water
there.
park.
Yeah. There's actually a
Yeah,
wall. Yeah. We're gonna build an ice
yeah.
wall.
So
I love it. I mean, it's cool. It's nice that Disney gives you a free day of a thing. And you can game the system if you want. You can get to the hotel early. They'll store your bags, and then you can
sure.
go to the water park all day for free.
Yeah.
Kind of
They
cool.
close at Rob's asking again. The water parks close at 5, I believe.
Rob, Google.com.
Yeah. Also, rewind.
Yeah, rewind, Robert. Good gravy.
How very dairy. Okay, so that's it. Price
right.
increases are coming, but it's been a little while since we've had them.
That's good, and also, bad. Jeremy, I know we were talking before the show that you've heard about this story and you didn't read too much into it, and of course, I had read nothing about it. So we're going to learn together.
Great.
A doctor unfortunately died after eating at a Disney World restaurant, and the staff confirmed food was allergen-free, the lawsuit alleges.
Okay.
A man, yeah.
What hotel or what restaurant was it?
Raglan Road.
Oh, my favorite.
Right. A man is suing Walt Disney Parks and Resorts and Raglan Road Irish pub and restaurant after his wife, a New York-based doctor, died suddenly after eating at the restaurant. The lawsuit alleges the waitstaff was negligent and was aware of his wife's severe food allergies. I want to read the rest of the story, but already I don't know. That's got to be hard to go through life with severe food allergies and trust the place run by 20-somethings to get things right. I don't know that I could do that. I'm not blaming her. Because I clearly don't do what the other people are comfortable doing, but I personally, that would be such a bigger leap of faith that I'm willing to give the general population.
Right. I trust everyone with nothing. I don't trust anyone. It's like, right. I don't believe anything anyone tells me. No.
Yeah. If I'm choking, I'm going to Heimlich myself. Thank you very much. I don't trust you.
You're just wasting time and giving me a stomachache.
Yeah. Appendectomy. No. Give me that knife. According to the lawsuit, Cannockborn I'm butchering her name. I apologize, but Tang Swan. Her husband, Jeffrey Piccolo, and Piccolo's mother dined at Raglan Road Irish Pub in Disney Springs, which is part of the Walt Disney World Resort, in October 2023. They chose to eat at the restaurant, the lawsuit states, because they believed it would have proper safeguards against serving dairy and nuts, which she was allergic to, Tang Swan. The waiter guaranteed the couple that certain foods could be made allergen-free, which the two confirmed, quote, several more times, according to the lawsuit filed on February 22nd. She ordered a vegan fritter, scallops, onion rings, and a vegan shepherd's pie. So she's allergic to dairy and nuts, a vegan fritter, scallops, onion rings, and a vegan shepherd's pie. I mean, there's like generally cheese and shepherd's pie, I think, isn't there?
Yeah, but you go to not if it's a vegan shepherd's pie.
Well, right, but I guess without reading the story, I'm trying to think of like where the cross contamination happened. But
what about the batter on the onion rings?
Dairy, yeah, milk usually. Well, no, yes, because I think you would have to dredge it in like with chickens, like buttermilk or whatever. Yeah. Anyway, some of the food delivered lacked allergen-free flags, but the waiter again guaranteed the food was allergen-free. Okay, so they didn't mark it as allergen-free with the flags, which is what you're supposed to do, I guess.
Right.
After dinner, Sangwan went shopping in the Disney Springs area and began suffering from a severe acute allergic reaction while at Planet Hollywood. Tang Swan, quote, began having severe difficulty breathing and collapsed to the floor, and 911 was called. Despite self-administering an EpiPen,
okay,
she died from anaphylaxis due to elevated levels of dairy and nut in her system.
Oh, she had both? Jeez.
My God, dude. The attorney says his client is devastated over the premature death of his beloved wife. Amy had a long life in front of her, and she and Jeff had plans to start a family. This never should have happened. Jeff is bringing this case in part to prevent a tragedy like this from happening to another family. And Tang Swan went by the name Amy, of course. She was a family medicine doctor in New York, associated with multiple hospitals. The lawsuit alleges Raglan Road failed to properly train its staff, that the employees failed to properly warn Tang Swan about allergens in her food, and that the employees failed to prepare the food without allergens as requested several times. The lawsuit also alleges negligence by Disney Parks and Resorts, since it has control over the restaurants and policies at Disney Springs. We were talking about this in the Discord earlier today, where who's on the hook for this? Because, you know, Raglan Road isn't owned by Disney, but they're Disney makes them adhere to the Disney standard. It's like when you go to Safeway and there's a Starbucks in the Safeway.
Right.
They're not Starbucks employees. They're Safeway employees, but they're trained and they adhere to the guidelines of Starbucks. So I would assume both of them, Disney and Raglan Road, or whoever owns Raglan Road.
I would imagine they're going to go after anybody.
Yeah.
RGH is saying in the chat, because RGH is very smart. Cashew is a relatively common cheese substitute.
Ooh, maybe that's what it was.
So there you go. Either you get the vegan plus you got the nut thing. You're toast.
There was dairy also, so I think they just did what a kitchen does and just screwed up.
Yeah, that's what. I mean, that is unfortunate. It's a tough one because it is like you've given them a lot of. Like, just get a salad.
This is
what vegan and nut and dairy.
This is what I don't want to do. Yeah, but it's like, she should be able to go out and enjoy her life and eat at a friggin' restaurant if she wants to, and if she should be able to trust these people. But also, if my allergy was such that I could die from it, I wouldn't trust these people. And I'm not blaming her. She can do whatever she wants. She's a doctor. She definitely knows the ins and outs of all this. But me personally, I would not have done that. I would have, like you said, give me a dry salad with I want vinegar and oil separate.
Yeah.
And I will make my own, I don't know. I mean, damages in excess of $50,000 pursuant to Florida's Wrongful Death Act, as well as damages for mental pain and suffering, loss of companionship and protection, loss of income, and medical and funeral expenses. I hope they throw the book at this place and he ends up running it.
Well, I don't know if I hope that. I mean, look, there's certain things that don't agree with me, and I have to avoid them. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
You have a very restrictive diet. I'm sorry, but you should stick to it.
I mean, she tried. I don't know. That's what I mean.
Try. That is she did try
several times.
Oy
And
vey.
you know what I mean?
It's a tough one.
It is, because she asked and they said, "Don't worry about it. We got you." And she trusted them. But also imagine being that server.
Oh my God, I would feel terrible. I mean,
because it's not the server's fault. Maybe it is. Who knows? That's the thing. That's the investigation needs to happen. It's like I don't know.
It's like manslaughter.
You know what? It would feel like that.
Yes.
To me, if I was in that position, I don't know what I would do. I would rot in my bed for a week. I don't know what I would do. I would feel horrible.
Well,
presumably I did my job,
Chasing Bama makes a great point. Disney needs to pay. They have a lot of money. They're charging $30 a head for me to stand in the sun. They're going to give this lady some money. Give this husband some money.
They're going to have $8 billion in free cash.
Yeah. How about you give a little to this guy?
How much do you think he should get?
He should get $25 million.
Easy. Yeah. I would say 10, but you're more generous than I am.
Well, when it's other people's money.
Yeah. Old Jeremy Iger over here. Oh, I don't know. Let's make a movie about it. That's what Bob Iger would do. He would trade the rights to this man's movie or rights to his life for, $10 million.
Yeah.
I got two more real short ones and then we're done.
Right.
What do you think?
I think it's fantastic. No, what do you?
You're such a turd. Speaking of
it's 11:06. I gotta go to
know.
Bye.
I know. Speaking of pay, this is an article comparing character pay at Disneyland and Walt Disney World as Disneyland performers seek to unionize. I think this is a fascinating article. Following the news that Disneyland's 1,700 character and parade performers are seeking to unionize An article from the Orange County Register points out some comparisons in the pay for performers at Disneyland and Walt Disney World. Currently, non-union Disneyland character performers receive a base pay of $24.15 an hour, with premiums of up to $4.75 for some roles. What's a premium? You get paid a little bit more. You get paid an extra $4.75 if you're like maybe like a face character or something?
Face character, probably if there's certain performance things that you do that another character doesn't have to do. Yeah, like a face character has to talk.
Yeah, true. The unionized, so that's non-union, union workers in Disney World, they receive a base pay of $17.75 an hour with premiums of up to $3.25. This equates to a 36% increase for Disneyland performers over their WDW counterparts. Equity, which is the Actors Equity, which is the union, contends the coast-to-coast comparisons highlight the differences between the minimum wages and cost of living and housing in California and Florida for cast members. California's minimum wage is $16 an hour, with the hourly rate set to increase to $18 in 2025. Florida's minimum wage is $12 per hour, with the hourly rate set to increase to $13 in September. Cost of living in Orange County is 44.5% higher than Orlando.
Right. That is the thing. I mean, you're not paying any income tax in Florida. But your cost of living is way lower.
Yeah.
Any company would do that.
For sure. Yeah. I think it's interesting that the union versus the non-union.
I know that union sucks.
Yeah. It kind of does.
You're not really, thanks for collecting the dues, dick. Oh, sorry.
Jeremy. That's what I've always wondered about unions, where it's like, shouldn't you be doing more to make sure that these people are, because we rail on about the show on this network about people should be paying more, and I used to think unions were sort of like responsible for killing a lot of like work and just sort of making companies a little bit more hostile to their employees. But I've recently, in the past, 5 years, changed my tune on that, where I see unions as a very necessary thing, especially as corporations get bigger and bigger and they buy back more of their stock and they raise the prices. Like Kellogg's, they pulled a shrinkflation on everybody, reduced the amount of cereal in their boxes, raised their prices, and bought back a bunch of their stocks and laid off a bunch of people, and then they hit record profits. And then the CEO comes out and says, people should probably eat cereal for dinner if they're struggling. Like, it's like these kinds of things over and over and over and over and over again. Eventually you go like, hey, your boss is not your friend. Your company is not your friend. Your grandpa, maybe, maybe your dad, maybe, but us, no. Our company doesn't care about us. They just want us to work harder until we die. Yeah. And then they're done with us. And then we have to train our replacement. And so it's like stuff like this where it's like, well, the union, I feel like, should be doing a little bit better.
I remember my dad was in a union and it was a closed shop. And so if you work there, you have to be, it's not like it's a choice. You have to be in.
You got to be in, right?
And they garnish your wages. They take money out of to fund the union. And he worked in this, like, so basically essentially a factory. And he would be like, it's like 90 degrees in there in the winter. And I was like, well, can't your union get you like a fan? I mean, what is all this for?
Worker rights, man. Yeah, for sure. I have the right not to sweat off 10 pounds a day.
I mean, this is what it was. The muckrakers. This is what it was all founded on, was like horrible conditions in New York City, and getting people, and like, you're sweating all day. What's going on here? It's 100 years later.
I also like, in 100 years, that's where we came from like breathing in coal dust and having miners work to then just being hot. It's like, that's such a good transition. Cat. Okay. Speaking of hot, it's too much.
Yeah,
buddy.
Cat.
Say bye to Jeremy. Bye, Jeremy.
Bye, Cat.
Okay, and then the last one I have, Jer, is just a tiny little bit of update. I think it was on this show, or maybe it was on the main show, I forget, where we were leaving off with Disneyland Forward, and a lot of people in Anaheim, especially people who lived around the parks, were concerned. They expressed a little bit of an interest in how Disney was going to sort of wrangle the streets and whatever. And one of the proposals was for Disney to buy Magic Way. which is the main road, I guess, between the parking structures or whatever.
Yes.
And people were going to wonder about traffic if you were going to make that if you were going to cut that thoroughfare off and presumably not be allowed down it unless you're going on the property because you're on property. How's that going to affect traffic? So Disneyland has addressed that. Apparently there was some sort of like public hearing about it. And let's see, the biggest issue that people had, that residents have, is Magic Way, which runs to the south of the Pixar Palace parking garage, connecting Walnut Street and Disneyland Drive. As part of a presentation to the Anaheim residents and officials today, which is yesterday, Disneyland said that updated traffic counts revealed that 99% of the traffic on that road is Disney visitors or cast members. Some area residents have complained that the elimination of Magic Way as a public road would remove an alternative to bypass Ball Road when trying to get on the 5, which is the highway there. But Disneyland said its study showed that not only do a tiny fraction of drivers use Magic Way for that purpose, but also that closing Magic Way would be consistent with the 1992 development agreement that sought to reduce Disney-related traffic access to and from Walnut Avenue. Still, a significant number of pedestrians are cutting through a median on Walnut to access the resort at Magic Way. In response to that desired path, Disney is proposing to install a protected crosswalk at that point, which would connect to a new bike lane that would run parallel to Walnut on Disney's side of the street. So they're making concessions and, okay, we'll protect people and, whatever. Another proposed street abandonment that has drawn concern is the proposal for Anaheim to abandon a planned expansion of Gene Autry Drive, part of which passes through what is now the Toy Story parking lot. Another part of that planned expansion runs underneath an apartment complex on Hayster Street. Disneyland officials emphasize that Disney is not proposing and has no plans to obtain or remove those apartments. Okay, well, there you go.
All right.
So things are happening. Disney's responding to the citizens of Anaheim, and hopefully that's enough for them.
I hope so. I hope, look, I don't live there. I don't know what that traffic would mean. But if it's a small percentage, kind of doesn't matter because those are people who pay taxes. And quite honestly, the only reason why the traffic is really high there is because Disney's there. So do you know what I mean? Like, just because they're a small percentage, it still could be a sizable number. You're just blowing them out of the water with all of your nonsense and your customers. So
that's right. Well, I mean, 1% of $1 billion is a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah. I wonder what Bob Iger. I wonder what that's going to do to just where the traffic gets diverted to. That's not going into the parks.
Yeah, but it's annoying. It's annoying if you live someplace and suddenly a company decides, well, we want to take this over and change it. It's like, well, that's not what I bought it. Do I hate when someone changes the deal I made?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Already, man, you know what? We moved here about 5-6 years ago. And lately, the past 6 months, there's been this kid who has a dirt bike. And he rips around the neighborhood, no helmet, doing wheelies. And it's like not street legal.
Right.
No license plate, no helmet, and just like full on extended, just like wheelie down the road. And just go, brr, brr, and I could hear it all throughout the house. It's never a consistent time or day. I've called the cops multiple times, but they never come out here. Cops, for as small a town as we live in,
we'll be out there in any minute.
Yeah, there's nothing. They don't do a single thing out here. I've never seen a cop out here, ever. And I go, I did not buy a house on a friggin' racetrack, but I feel like I did. Because this kid will rip around for like 10 minutes and then he'll go away for 3 hours and then he'll come back and he'll do it again. And then he'll wait 2 days and he'll do it again. And it'll be at 10:30 at night or 3 in the afternoon. And it's
all right. So what are we going to do? We could get nails. You could put nails out in the street.
That's the problem. It's not consistent. It's not consistent. So you know what I mean? Like I can't do anything about it. I feel stuck.
You have to be able to booby trap him somehow.
Here's my fantasy is I'm washing the car. Maybe I got my shirt off. I don't know. Maybe just have a nice tank top, spaghetti, strap, whatever.
Oh, okay.
And I hear him. I hear the thing like the mailman in Chevy Chase movie Funny Farm. I hear him down the road, and I see him as he's rounding the corner, and I just take the hose and I just hose him down as he drives by. And then he slides out and gets a total road rash, and then he learns his lesson. That's my
and then he sues you.
Could he sue me, do you think?
I don't know. I don't know what the story is.
Neither do I, man.
You can't be out there. Let's go back to you washing your car shirtless.
Yeah. Have a gasoline fight. Anyway, that's it. That's the stories I got, Jeremy. What do you got for me, man?
I have a little, I thought to end my time here, I would do what I do, which is rhyme. And so I've written up a little something just to sort of send us off into the sunset and explain why I'm leaving.
Okay.
So it's all wrapped up.
Should I have music for this or
no? Okay. Well, actually, it does end with, well, you're going to see.
All right.
The parks have lost the magic for me. They don't even have a clean place to pee. I used to stare up at Spaceship Earth in wonder, but Zach Ridley's disco lights are just a big blunder. They installed new lighting in the core of the park, but after 5 nights, more than half of them went dark. Then there's the much-touted Moana's Journey of Water. After 5 months, it started to falter. Guests at Epcot this week were perturbed, and now there are signs saying the attraction's being refurbed. It lasted 5 months. Like, are you guys kidding me? Like, can you make anything?
That's so bad.
And my list of these things is just mild protestations when I think of the void left by my beloved illuminations.
Protestations. Sorry.
And I don't want to go to California, as World of Color 1 is rumored to stink. And by the way, why is our castle still pink? There's videos of lightning lane queues stretching out far and wide, but all I can do is release a great sigh. They're actually charging guests to stand in lines which are longer. Can you think of anything that sounds more wronger? Almost daily on social media, the Imagineers have more crap that they tout, but none of it is anything worth writing about. And with each passing paint chip shown to us by Zach Ridley, I feel like talking about it gets more and more silly. There's more to this world, architecture, music, and art, better than paying to see show buildings that look like Wal-Mart. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention you, Jace. Getting through the pandemic was helped by seeing your face.
Oh, man.
There were good shows and bad, but let's not dwell on those, or we'll live up to our name of those 2 Reddit bros. And to the listeners, too, especially the ones in the chat, they made the show worth doing, and who could argue with that? But alas, my love for Disney is flagging. And that makes me think of these words by REO Speedwagon. Oh, I make you laugh, and you make me cry. I believe it is time for me to fly. That's the end.
Hold on a second.
and now Japanese narration takes over.
Here we go.
Are you gonna play me out to REO Speedwagon?
I mean, I can if I knew what song you were referencing.
Time for me to fly.
Oh, is it?
I think that's what it's called.
No.
Because it's time for me to fly.
Very good, Jeremy.
Yes, my final poem.
I loved it. I thought it was very funny, and definitely gonna miss you. I miss doing the show with you. No matter what happens, it was fun. It was a good time, and it was a good time for us to be able to sort of expand on our knowledge a little bit about what's happening in the parks and sort of bring a little bit, like you were saying earlier in the show, context to what's happening. But it is hard when things that are happening aren't like really great or don't live up to the ideals that we had or the sort of, I don't know, lofty bar we had set for the parks in our own mind, or maybe the parks even had set for us. So it's tough. What do you do at that point?
No, and I go and I don't even, like I said, I go near the parks, but I don't go into them anymore. I go down to Florida and I'm like, I'll just go to the beach or sit in the pool or go to dinner. Like I just don't. like I go in, but I'm like,
I tell you, if we can ever get back down there, I don't know that we would go for like multiple days. Because there's other stuff that in LA that I've never done that I would love to do, like the La Brea Tar Pits, for example, or whatever, right? Just cool other stuff. There's so much history in downtown LA and LA in general. Like a lot of occult history would be kind of cool. There's just a lot of the Art Deco buildings to just see or whatever, right? There's so much weird stuff to do that I feel like culturally devoid of I don't know, of life if I just spend it all at Disneyland. Disneyland's cool. I love it. The history there is undeniable. It's amazing. It's really cool what a lot of, scrappy boomers did, and like we're able to like pull this thing off and the decisions behind those things. I really like figuring out how decisions are made and who gets to greenlight them and how changes are made and why and whatever, right? The reasons behind things and how stuff works. But beyond that, there's not much that ties me to the parks, which is unfortunate to say. And I know a lot of people are going to skewer me for it, but I don't care. It's my connection to the parks is through the past. And not what's happening now, because what's happening now is kind of weird. And I don't know that you can ever really hold a candle to that. Maybe it's just an impossible dream that we're having for the current version of the parks. Who knows?
Right. They've gone in they've chosen their direction, and now I'm choosing mine. I think, I said, there's more to this world, architecture, music, and art. The sad thing is that there was a long time in my life where I felt, and I am exposed to other things. Like I'm not just buried in the sand of Disney World. But you could get a fair amount of nice architecture, music, and art and things like that at Disney World. The Imagineers were really talented. They were artists. There was original music. The architecture was beautiful. It wasn't, buildings weren't sitting under a hovering show building that looks like an IKEA. Those things have been getting stripped away. All of the Imagineers were artists. They absolutely were. They were artists in their own right, and we were exposed to their art. And someone was saying recently that, actually it was a former Imagineer, I think, who said that there were certain things in this world that existed, but we viewed them through the lens that Disney gave them to us. So, for example, the original Illuminations, it was all classical music, but I now associate Rhapsody in Blue with being in Epcot, but it's Gershwin's piece. I now love that piece. I was introduced to it because of Disney. What are we getting exposed to now? But and you had the creator of that original on here, Don Dorsey, and
okay, yeah.
He's an artist, he's a musician, and so. But that's not happening anymore. You look at the new edition in Epcot France. I know I'm very Epcot centric or Disney World centric, so those are my examples. But when they put Remy into Epcot France, the architecture isn't even architecture. Half of it is billboards. It's two-dimensional, just like they just put up fake, like it's not buildings. And from the side, you can see the supports. It's just literally, it's like a cardboard cutout. So like, when they built the Morocco Pavilion, the King of Morocco sent his personal architects to help build that pavilion and design and influence it. And now they're putting up cardboard cutouts in Epcot, France. Like, I'm sorry, it's not me, it's them. I refuse. It's not me.
That is part of the thing, especially reading that statement from the company where they're going to have $8 billion in free cash flow.
Yeah,
they've saved $7.5 billion. To what end? To extend the Disneyland? To expand the cruise lines? And my concern is, and I don't want to belabor the point, but it feels apropos because you're leaving. But like, it feels like they're expanding the low hanging fruit of just capacity versus the quality of what's in the parks. Maybe they've figured out that doesn't matter too much for people. It's strange. The whole thing is odd, but hopefully moving forward in the next 10 years, things will be a little different or whatever. Or maybe there's a vision that we're not seeing. Who knows?
Or maybe they've just taken a different direction and it's just, there's a time and a season for everything, and I did it, and now I'm moving on, and that's okay too.
That's healthy for you, unlike me, who's clinging to every last Patreon. You know, I just had a thought while you're preaching to everybody. If the let's say like the DVC Tower or at the Poly or Ralph Brennan's in downtown Disneyland, if those looked better, if they didn't look like Four Seasons hotels,
yeah, would
you have a different opinion on the direction of the parks or how things are going?
It's not just that. This has been death by 1,000 cuts, and it's been happening since 2015. New Fantasyland came to Disney World, and that was like pretty good. And then things just every new edition just started to kind of suck. And then this Epcot overhaul is ghastly.
2015, isn't that when Iger bought Marvel? Like Lucasfilm or not? I know those are different, but isn't that when he made a bunch of those purchases?
Yeah, I mean, it was all during that. Yeah.
So I wonder if that's like, we're going to buy this, so budget cuts have to start here because we have to pay off all this debt. I wonder if the purchase of Marvel and Lucasfilm and Fox has impacted the parks in that way even earlier than like maybe we really knew about.
I think that, I mean, this is a Harvard business study. You know, this isn't just something you and I could finish. But I think that there's a lot of middle management. I think there's a lot of untalented management, and a lot of management brought from outside who's not homegrown in the culture of Disney. And they've come in and they use words like synergy. They don't really know what that means. They apply it in ways that don't make sense. And then you get Moana all over Epcot. You get the IPification of what was a really unique park. You get terrible fireworks shows that don't tell a story anymore, and they're just these blenders of IP, because it's like, look, this is IP, this is popular, and this is in the theaters now, and there's no nostalgia anymore because it's not relevant for the new generation. Which, meanwhile, I came on here today and said my favorite Disney movie is Mary Poppins. It was made 16 years before I was born. People can like things that aren't made the minute they woke up that morning, but there's this new sense in companies, a lot of companies today, that you have to be relevant, and I think they think that they sound smart, but they're actually doing a lot of disservice to these are amazing places. Look what they've done to Epcot. It's so bad. It's unspeakably bad.
That's too bad, man. I mean, I know they need more shade, but otherwise, I don't know. I'm happy that we got to see Illuminations.
I'm glad you did too.
I thought that was a really cool. And I remember when we came back from our honeymoon and that next show back, I could not stop talking about that show. And I have never, and I will repeat this, ever felt that way about a Disney show I've ever seen.
Right.
But that one in particular sticks with you. It was really neat.
Yeah. It was an Olympics opening ceremony every night. But it's not just that. I mean, they got rid of that fountain. That fountain played Yanni music, amongst others. But you could go watch the movie Fountain play Yanni. Now we have a planter.
What does the planter play?
It looks like a big vagina.
Oh, well, see, there you go. You win some and you win some.
Have you seen that? People taking pictures of it.
No, but I want to now.
I'll
get flagged or something. Chat saying Iron Man came out in 2008. Purchase of Marvel 2009. So I think I'm thinking of like Lucasfilm 2015. I don't know. These things got to play a part in it. These big purchases or whatever.
It's a focus for the company if they take that on.
Sure, and you gotta. Anyway, I guess the point is, I don't know. We could keep talking about it, right? Because that's all we've been doing.
This is all I talk about. Like, I have friends, I just sit around and we just talk about this for days.
Yeah.
I've swallowed my pride for you, lived and lied for you, but you still make me feel like a thief. Well, you got me stealing your love away.
It's a good song.
It is.
Peeling the
I tell you what. So this is the video is.
Here it is.
I believe it's time for me to fly.
You make my heart sing. You make everything. What I don't like about this video, it's just like them in concert or whatever. But he's playing the chords with his thumb over the top of the neck, which nobody does. It's so awkward. I hate it. I hate it so much.
That's strange.
I don't like it. He's not using his fingers. He's using his thumb to come over and like nail all the chords, and like I just don't like it. But his hair is friggin' amazing.
Oh God.
Yeah. All right, whatever. Jeremy,
I like REO Speedwagon. That's not my favorite song of theirs, but I thought it worked.
It does work.
It's actually a pretty good song.
Yeah, it's fine, man. I love you, Jeremy. I'm going to miss you. I think you were an absolute treat and a delight on this show.
Thank you. You too.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I hope we can come back on the other shows a little bit more. And it's not going to be the same around here without you, Jeremy. And I mean that sincerely. So,
thank you.
Please believe me.
I'm going to be working on the music of Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh, I love that. Maybe you'll come on for like a secret show or two every once in a while.
Hey, why not?
Maybe you don't have to do anything but drink. And we start, we record on a separate night now. So it's like 8:00 our time still. So it's not like 2:00 your time. And we're like, I gotta work.
It would start at midnight or 1:00.
Yeah. And we do it like on like a Friday.
Oh, so yeah, I'll come on.
Fine.
Friday nights at 11?
Jeremy's not going anywhere, folks. Don't worry about that.
I'm just on the secret show. I'm behind a paywall now.
You got to pay for this premium content of Jeremy. I don't know, man. I got a couple ideas for shows, but I know you're busy, so I'm not going to pitch them to you.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be signing up for any more shows.
Yeah, that's all right.
For now.
I get it.
Punch it.
I gotta punch it.
You gotta punch it. All right, guys. We'll see you later, Jeremy. Thanks again, man. I appreciate all the work you did, and there were many times where you did more work than I did on this show, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! I was just in there. The lights were low.